All right, to this a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is Let the Democrats Eat Their Own. Whoopi Goldberg hits out at Barack Obama. All right, let's jump into it.
Joining us now from New Jersey is broadcaster and commentator Carmine Sabia. Carmine, thank you so much for joining us. Barack Obama has lectured the Democrats
Cuban.
It didn't work. What did you make of Whoopi Goldberg's tantrum?
Please play
it. Was a tantrum, wasn't it? I'm not surprised by this. I was surprised to see her take sides against President Obama. For one of the first times since I followed President Obama, he was actually spot on with what he's saying, which is you can't have a party, you can't have victory in elections if your only argument is, hey, we're not Trump, we're angry at Trump, and let's go protest and riot and do all these things. And then Whoopi Goldberg's argument to that was, well, we're doing our job. We're out there protesting. And how dare you? This is y'all's fault. This is y'all's fault, meaning him and Mark Cuban. And I don't see how it's their fault. I think if they followed Obama's advice, they might have had a chance.
It would have been further,
and,
yeah.
It was an absolute meltdown on the air. But, listen, you could fit what Whoopi Goldberg knows about politics in a thimble and have room.
Yeah, guys, the problem is, I definitely would say, if they did follow what Obama said, they would have definitely been further in... they would have been further. Let's just say this here. They would not have moved so drastically into the far left realm of things. They would have stayed closer to center left. Let's say this here, personally. Now, obviously, there are going to be some arguments in the comments that Obama was not center left, but in fact, he was probably a little bit more center right at times, right? If we would look at it without the lens of bias, let's say, all right? There were certain things that he was obviously left leaning on, like a lot of the social issues and things like that, but I would say that's moderately normal, kind of for humanity, specifically people who have traveled at least, right? Now, here's the thing here. They don't want to hear what any man has to say, okay? And that's what I think the issue currently with the Democrat Party is. They're absolutely fighting against anything man-oriented. They just do not like men. They don't want men speaking. They don't care that it is their golden child, Barack Obama. They don't care. They don't care, bro. They just care that a man is speaking and I shouldn't listen to it because a man is speaking. Okay, that's it. That's what the modern Democrat Party sounds like to me.
This is a woman who thought that Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General because she's a great doctor. She's a doctor of education. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't know much of anything, but she knows how to be loud, and she nailed that. And
yeah, that's what matters sometimes, unfortunately.
I think it's lovely.
And businessman and TV personality Mark Cuban went on Pod Saves America. He had this message for the Democrats.
It's just Trump sucks. That's the underlying, thought of everything the Democrats do. Trump sucks. Mm-hmm. Trump says, the sky is blue. Trump sucks. You can't, that's not the way to win. It's just not, because it's not about Trump. It's about the people of the United States of America and what's good for them. And how do you get them to a place where they're in a better position?
Them
and it's
or
less
us?
Stressful for them.
Are you separate? Is this billionaire separating himself from us peasants? Us plebeians?
Instead of being so obsessed with Donald Trump, they could actually come up with positive policies to help America, yet they're pouring their energy into fighting ICE, keeping men in women's sports. But speaking of Democrats, let's talk about Gavin Newsom, California's governor. He's on a media blitz at the moment, and he had a disastrous appearance on the Sean Ryan show. He was unable to answer when he was asked if he believed that 8 years old was just too young to transition.
Yeah. What about for your values? I mean, is 8 years old too young?
Yeah, I mean, look, I now that I have a 9-year-old, it just became 9.
Right.
Come on, man. I get it.
Yeah, have you spoken to a 9-year-old?
So those are
8-year-old?
It's interesting, just the issue of age. I'm as someone that's been so focused on equality broadly, LGBT rights, particularly gay marriage. Mm-hmm. The trans issue for me is also novel. It's over the last few years, I'm trying to understand as much as anyone else. Whole pronoun thing, trying to understand all of that. Well, that was like the hell. I mean, all that stuff. I get it.
Carmine, it's so awkward to watch.
I think you're in a bad situation going into 2028 if you want to be the Democrat nominee for president and you can't say unequivocally 8-year-olds should not have gender transition. Gabrielle, when I was 8, I watched 101 Dalmatians. My niece and I, we went to the movies. We watched 101 Dalmatians. We came home.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Gavin Newsom most likely is pretty enough for women to vote for. I think so.
We were convinced we were Dalmatians.
Coming from the Democrat Party.
You know, my mom didn't get us tails and fur coats.
And he speaks like soft
I think,
enough.
At 8 years old, you're convinced of a lot of things. And I think it's psychotic. It's actually psychotic. And listen, I pray he stays on this road. Please,
He's not going to. You know that.
Please stay on Mamani, stay on this Gavin Newsom, stay on these 80-20 issues that nobody agrees with you on. We'll keep the White House forever.
Yep.
They've apparently learned nothing.
Nothing
at all. And
they just say that anyone who thinks differently is evil. So they suck. Basically, it doesn't matter, it does not matter at all.
I'm all for it.
Let's talk about Mamdani. He's the front runner for New York City mayor. Socialists around Mamdani, and he's made it clear he's not a fan of capitalism. He's refused to recognise Israel's right to exist. He's come under fire for his campaign policy document that calls for shifting the city's tax burden onto richer and whiter neighbourhoods. And now in Minneapolis, the Democrats are running Omar Fattah for mayor, and he wants rent freezes, he wants to defund the police, and he wants to, of course, Trump-proof the city. But he also wants to bridge the gap between Minneapolis and Somalia. Take a look at this.
We should make dua for him and pray for him. I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us and represent all of us, because when we succeed here, we succeed everywhere. And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdrazak, inshallah.
Okay.
Looking at
what he said is not wrong here. I understand, you gotta read the room. So instead of specifically looking for something terrible or super woke in his words here, bro, he's read the room. He's in a room full of Somalis, and he's specifically speaking to the Somalian community, right? I mean, just understand why he's saying what he's saying. I have no idea his methodology or his policies are probably terrible, but that's not the point here. The point is that if that's what you're using to pick through his words, let's say, this is not a good faith argument. That's all.
Mamdani and Omar Fattah, they are radical far left. You know, Mamdani has been in DC today, meeting with Democratic lawmakers to talk about the lessons from his surprise win out there with AOC. But this is really putting the spotlight on the future direction of the Democrat Party, don't you think?
Oh, boy, yes. And I love it. I think this is fantastic. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Democrats are doing our work for us. No matter what mistakes the Republicans make, and we've made some mistakes since January 20th, don't get me wrong. But
he's winning.
Let's have this. Let's finally, once and for all, have this out in 2028.
He's up in the polls.
In 2028, communism versus capitalism. Because calling these people Democrats, socialists, or socialists, it actually undermines it. It lessens, it softens what they actually are. What they actually are is communists. When you're talking about seizing private property in the form of rental units, apartment buildings, when you're talking about government-run grocery stores, you are talking about communism. And it's baby steps. Communism always comes to you in baby steps. The first step is class warfare. Well, the Democrats have protected that. If you're a successful person, you're evil. If you're a poor person, then you're righteous. And so they've convinced people who are.
Funny enough, that's actually more on par to the Bible, but let's continue.
You're righteous. And
I'm not saying that specifically this in this case is valid. I specifically do not want him in power, specifically in New York, guys. I'm gonna be honest. There's nothing that he has to offer that sounds, like a great idea. It just sounds like this is going to be expensive.
So they've convinced people who are struggling, the middle class and whatever, that people who have are the reason they don't have. And once you can convince them of that, then communism starts to look more attractive. However, I think these ideas are so radical, I believe firmly in my heart, America will reject them. That doesn't mean
it's not about America, it's about New York.
Places like Minneapolis won't accept them. Places like New York City won't accept them. I think, and this is going to shock people, as much as I don't want Mamdani to win, I believe that him winning in New York City would be the best thing that could happen for capitalism.
Okay.
Because it's the biggest, most popular city in the world. It is the beacon of capitalism
internationally. Yeah.
You got Wall Street, you got Fifth Avenue, you got, all the places, so much commerce goes on there. If you can show the failure of capitalism in New York City, you might be able to drive a stake through the heart of this movement, because if you don't, this is taking over the Democrat Party. There's going to be a time, believe it or not, I tell my Republican friends this all the time, there's going to be a time where you guys sit there and say, oh, man, I wish we had Nancy Pelosi back. That's how bad these people are.
Guys, we're going to end it here. All right. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Here's the thing. You got to understand this here. So though there are going to be people who absolutely do not want this guy, Mamdani, to win a single thing. I get it. Most of these people are not going to be living in the state of New York, or how about this? At the very least, in Manhattan. They don't live in Manhattan. These are people that are kind of on the outside of things, let's say, and not specifically in the city. Guys, I grew up in New York, and I can definitely tell you, but not like specifically Manhattan. I grew up on Long Island, East Hampton specifically, right? And the thing about Manhattan is super woke. Okay, and I am not going to go on the limb here and violate, our U.S. Constitution and say that they should not have the ability to vote. Not specifically, right? Like, they shouldn't vote. They should never vote. Like, that is their thing. That's their prerogative, right? Like, if they're choosing this, then that's what the people want. We can comment on how ridiculous it is. Absolutely. It makes great content. Absolutely. Right? But, guys, it's not our business. You know what I mean? That's their problem. That's their downfall. But yes, will there be lasting repercussions, specifically if he does take office? Yeah, because he's so far left, not even left. He's far left, right? He's so far left that it could potentially start making waves. Like, people are going to want to see this. And then what if this absolutely infects or enters into our policy? Right, I don't see the Democrats winning large scale because, again, they're a good amount of like sensible Americans who can see through this nonsense. But New York City is absolutely a different place. If you have never been to New York City, and I mean like lived within the region for a while, you will not understand. Like, I've always been in the camp of saying there are two places that I would never want a president to ever come from: Queens, okay, the Bronx, or Miami. Okay, Miami's out of New York, but a lot of like snowbirds move down there when they get like 60, right? But the ideology and the way things move is very New York to a certain extent, right? But also very like Republican. It's an interesting mix of things that happen in that region, specifically in South Florida, right? But I never because I know how New Yorkers are, I cannot imagine a New Yorker president. Not like a modern New Yorker president. That's why when Trump took office, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be interesting. Like, do you know how much craziness we say regularly? Listen, we don't care about your feelings. I'm telling you, right? It was absolutely wild to encounter. But all right, listen, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.